Bread pudding is finally done. Super great for prepping in advance if you're wanting to take it to like a potluck or something. That's always a great option. Or if you're going to have a brunch, then that's always great as well. So it's the night before. I'm just getting the first step of the bread pudding recipe started. Here I have about a loaf of homemade bread. It's already a few days old. It's getting a little bit to the hard point, so now is the perfect time to be able to do a recipe like this. So I'm going to just go ahead and go through it. This is an adapted version of my mom's recipe for bread pudding, or budín as we say in Puerto Rico. It's going to be a lower sugar, high in protein version of it. You don't have to use this exactly if you want it to just be, you know, perfectly all the fat and everything in it. I can include those ingredients down below, but I will also include the recipe with the adapted ingredients that I'm using here today. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. What we have is, again, you need about a loaf of bread, that much. I'm going to be using some stevia extract, just the granulated sugar that they have for baking, but I am also still going to use regular granulated sugar as well. And then I have the Fairlife Core Power Vanilla. I'm not sponsored at all by them. This is just my favorite protein shake that I've had. I think it's the best tasting one. Doesn't really give you that, you know, protein shake flavor. It just tastes like flavored milk, honestly. So I do like to use this. Let's get into it. I have my container here because we are going to have this sit overnight. You can do it for as little as 2 hours, but you know, the longer you let it sit, the better. I am going to leave this for about overnight, a little bit more than 8 hours probably. It is a super simple recipe if you want to do in advance. You just start it the night before and then you can do it, or you can start it earlier in the day and then you can complete it in the evening. This is a recipe, of course, if you've ever had bread pudding. Some people like it warm, some people like it cold. I've always grown up eating it cold, so that's how I'm going to make it. So you're just going to break your bread into some chunks and put it in your container that you're going to have the mixture for the overnight mixture. Want a decent sized container, because if it's a loaf of bread, it's gonna take up some space. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take half a cup of the regular granulated sugar, just kind of sprinkle that on top, and then half a cup of the stevia extract. The regular recipe calls for just 1 cup of regular white granulated sugar, but whenever I try to do these healthier versions, I do typically split it half and half, equal amounts between the white granulated sugar and stevia. You're gonna need about 4 of these bottles. It's going to take 48 ounces of liquid. So I'm going to measure out that. Here we have the first 16 ounces, and you're just gonna pour it directly on top. 32 ounces. Okay, so here's our last 16 ounces. Obviously you can do whatever you want with it. So now you're just going to kind of mash down the bread a little bit into the mix, just to make sure that everything is nice and wet, nice and incorporated, and also kind of get that sugar mixed in there as well. And then I'm going to get the lid for it and put it in the fridge for the next 8 to 10 hours overnight, and then I will see you back tomorrow again to finish the recipe. Hi everybody, so it's the next day and we are back. We've got our remaining ingredients here, and we also have our soaked bread. We're going to start with doing the rest of the liquid ingredients before we add it to the soaked bread already. So I have 4 large eggs, made with ingredients that you will mostly have at home, especially if you are working on your own health kick and you've got protein shakes at home already. Then obviously that's great. You can always use a plant-based milk, or again, evaporated milk as the original recipe calls for. This is just the version that I'm making to make it a little bit higher in protein. So we're just going to mix all of that together. Right. So we're just going to add a little splash of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon powder. Throw that all in here. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So over here I have a 1/2 cup of melted butter. Go ahead and mix that in. Now we're going to go ahead and dump in the soaked bread. It's looking very, very soaked, very kind of chunky, but that's okay. We want it to be like that. Now this part is optional. Again, like I said, I am following my mom's recipe, and she does put raisins in it. You don't have to put raisins if you don't care for raisins. You can put any other dried fruit that you want, or you could do it without. And we're going to do a cup of raisins. So this is a 1/2 cup measuring cup, so I just did 2 of those. Okay, you just mix that all in there together. We also have, there it is. We also have the oven preheated up to 375 degrees, and that is ready for this to go in now. I have here a prepared baking dish that's already greased up. So we're just going to pour all of that mixture in. That is looking a little bit full. I probably should have used a larger container, but I don't really have one. So this is what we're going with. Okay, so I'm just going to put this container into another pan here, and I'm going to fill this one with water. I'm going to do a water bath, or a baño Maria, bain marie, depending on which part of the world you're coming from. And then we're going to put this together on a solid baking sheet, just so that it has a little bit more support while it's in the oven. Now I'm going to put this to bake in the oven for 50 minutes. To start, I'm going to check it, make sure, see how it's going, see if it's ready to take out, and then depending on what oven you have, what elevation you are, may affect how long the bread pudding needs to bake for, especially the size of your container. Mine's a little bit on the taller but smaller end, so it might take a little bit longer, so we'll see. It just depends. I'll see you again after the bread pudding has baked up and we are ready for the next step. Alright, so it's been 60 minutes. The bread pudding is finally done. You'll know it's done when you poke a knife 1 inch away from the edge and it comes out clean. If you want to eat this warm, just let it rest for at least 15 minutes, then you can eat it as is, maybe add some ice cream on top. My family has always eaten it cold, so for that you'll just need to let it completely rest until it reaches room temperature, and then put it in the fridge for a few hours to overnight. And then once it's completely cooled, then you can enjoy it like that as well. Super great for prepping in advance if you're wanting to take it to like a potluck or something. That's always a great option. Or if you're going to have a brunch, then that's always great as well. So I'm going to let this rest for a few hours and then come back for a taste test. Okay, so it has been in the fridge for a couple of hours. It's had some time to cool. I'm gonna go ahead and take out a little bit and try it. Okay, nice, and got some good texture going on. The 12 servings, but it does have 12 grams of protein for that. So it is a little bit on the heavier side for the calories as regard to a snack, but again, if you're only taking the smaller bits, or if you're portioning it out into a smaller amount, then of course it's going to be less calories. So now let's dig in. Get a little bit of that crust here. It's really good. It's so good. So yeah, This is a really good dessert. I really recommend that you try it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified of future videos that come up with more recipes, exercise content, anything else regarding this glow up journey that we are going on. Thanks again for joining. I hope you have a great day. Bye.